Guys, getting into a property, say if it's off the plan and it's early, is it more profitable to get in early? Fact or fiction? We're going to give you some real numbers on some property purchases and clear up the myth for you on buying early off the plan. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
45 topics we spoke about this morning, and we chose this one. Josh and I were, how long were we going through it, Josh, and this topic and that topic?
Yeah, we're going a good solid 20 minutes beforehand. It's always difficult to pick the one that you want to speak about, isn't it?
It's hard. If you don't know how we curate what we're going to talk about for the day is the most top of mind things that we've done in our business in the last week, conversations, things that happen, whatever, media, and then we'll actually whip it around before we go on air, decide on it, and then go on air. So here we are today talking about this topic. How are you this morning, legend?
Yeah, good. Very interesting topic. Something I've quite enjoy the off the plan stuff. I think there's a massive amount of value to be unlocked, especially in this tightly held pocket of the Northern Beaches.
It's big. It's big. And you know what? I think as a prospective purchaser, you don't have access to the data. You don't know if people are losing money, if people are making money, if they're making extraordinary amounts of money or losing extraordinary amounts of money. So today we're going to give you some real life working examples on that.
Perfect. And we've got a bit of a double-edged sword. Not only do we have some commercial references, but also a bit of residential, obviously, as well. So don't just think it's in the one category. There's plenty of opportunities. Definitely. Do you want to start us off, Mark, with maybe commercial and what we've done up at French's Forest?
Yeah, sure. So I think if you to get that concept square in people's heads, you want to buy a property. You've got finance approved. You've got a deposit ready, and you're looking at a second-hand property, so you can actually go in now, finance it now, live in it now, or rent it now, or you could put a deposit down on a property that's ready in 3 years or 2 years, and the benefits of that, there's highs and lows, there's positives and negatives on that, but when you do get into getting something early, normally a developer, there's a couple of aspects to it. People are scared. Are they going to lose their money? Is the property going to be built? What quality is the built going to be? There's risk there. We're going to have a talk about that real risk. If it does actually play out and how deep that real risk is. There's there's probably a good 10 or 15 things of why you should and should not buy sort of off the plan early. But the thing we're talking about today, the one thing is just that sheer fact of actually getting in early. Now, we're just about to settle on a building in a warehouse up in French's Forest. So there was $200,000-ish storage units, 170 of them, and there was 85 warehouses there. Now, the people, when the product launched, the warehouse launched, the developer needed a thing called pre-sales to prove to his funder that this was a substantial project, like it was real, it was quantifiable, there were people at that level of price wanting to buy. So resales were really, really important to the developer. Wouldn't say desperate, but very, very keen to prove their case to their financer to say, look, here we are. So they go to market, they open to market, they had bought the block of land, so the developer was already solidly committed. Probably these developers can be committing 10, 20, $30 million of their money to a project. So the developer's committed. Don't think that they're playing with your money. They are putting down all of their a substantial amount of their money as well. And then we go out as to the agents of the marketplace with an approval. So the site was approved by council, yes, and then we had to do pre-sales. But because they're right at the beginning, the developer does deep discounts.
Yes, and generally what we see that over the process of that, in commercial, guys, if you're just tuning in, we always value things off a per square meter rate. So for these storage units and warehouses, essentially what that means is per square meter rate. Obviously, you're starting quite low at the beginning, as Mark said. That in a way, the developer almost needs the buyers more so at the start than towards the end of the project or over that 50% sold. So there's definitely some deals to be done, and maybe even some, flexible payment options in relations to required deposits, whether it be a 5% as opposed to the full 10. So there are those benefits in buying well and at the right time.
At the beginning, they'll need 10 because they need to prove to the funder it's substantial. So funders, and you may think this is a little bit weird with because this also works for residential, with first home buyer stock doing 5% at the moment, but the funders don't acknowledge it as a pre-sale if there's not a 10% deposit put down by the buyer, which is sucks a little bit.
But it's huge. But
Yeah.
it's goes once you see it over the lifespan of the development. I mean, I've had customers that have put as little as $12,000 down as a deposit on a storage unit. Here we are, 6 weeks out of completion. I'm starting to take them through to show them, hey, this is what the finished product is looking at. Not only they're happy with the end result and how the product's turned out, but it's even better when I go downstairs and say, well, actually, we've just sold one as of last Friday. And if you compare that price to what you paid, congratulations, Mr. Purchaser. You've just pocketed $50,000 in equity on $12,000 deposit. That is massive. That's
Wow.
unheard of in terms of returns in such a safe asset such as property. So I really, really want, that's probably the real big hitting home is if you're finding these developments, whether they're resi or commercial, look at the area that you're purchasing. That is going to be a telltale sign. If you're in these pockets like eastern suburbs, northern beaches, I think
Low
really,
supply.
yeah, it's a good buy. Generally to pick up a big enough parcel of land in these areas, developers are spending big money. So that's why you don't get that supply often come up as much. And obviously large parcels of land in these areas, because they're so tightly held, don't come up either. So forget about the cost of them. It's also the opportunity that these ever arise. It's very few and in between. So find that these projects, especially like the one at French's Forest, like we've mentioned, and then resi-wise, you're talking about Havana and Casa del Mar. I think they're opportunity to make money in one of the safest asset classes you possibly can. It's huge.
Well, Castle was a really interesting one, and one of my kids bought in there as well, and it's almost $100,000 more from when people got in 2 years ago. And what people don't realize when you go in early, you don't have to pay a mortgage. So some people think that and the price is locked. So some people think if they buy off the plan, they've got to pay market value when it's ready. Not the case. The price you've locked in on exchange is the price that you pay on settlement when you get the key. So the price can't go up. Furthermore, yes, you've put down your 10% deposit, but you don't have to pay a mortgage along the way. So the coolest thing is you get to enjoy, if it's the bigger the project, the longer it takes to actually get built, which means that the more chance of value increasing over 2 or 3 or 4 years. And you don't have a mortgage and you've locked the price. So in a market now, where prices under 1.5 are really, really doing well, these people that have locked in off the plan purchase 2-3 years ago are making really, really good money at the moment. Now, they're not going to flash the cash. They're not going to go come online and say, "Oh, I've made this much money." How do you find these people? They're hard animals to find. But we can tell you with scale, where there's a lot of people that have made a lot of money off the plan on the northern beaches. I get worried about where there's too much supply in other parts of Sydney, where there's a lot of units or a lot of land or a lot of whatever. But low supply areas, off the plan, long lead time, big blocks.
Definitely, yeah. And I think it's both that resi and commercial market here on the northern beaches, and I think we're down out of the 170 odd units we had downstairs. I think we've got 7 storage units that aren't reserved. So looking to sell out upon completion there, with staged increases along the way. So, Mark, maybe you want to give a little sneak peek. If you're watching this morning, you might get a nugget of gold. We have a little future opportunity coming up. Do you want to
Yeah, so
let loose what you can?
probably the most successful project that we've seen in the last 10 years where people got in right at the beginning and have made. I won't be able to tell you yet because we're not at the end. The end is literally the last sale in the building, and we're probably about 3 months away from that. The last sale in the building. But I can tell you, I think this is recorded probably the highest growth from when people purchased early at the beginning to when the last person sold. I would put about 30 to 35% that people have made. So on $1 million, that's almost 350 grand, and they still haven't settled. We do have another one, which is going to be launching in the first quarter of next year. That we can take registrations on, early bird registrations, for the next one. So it's going to be actually built by the same developer. So you know what? There's always opportunities out there. It's about where is the best opportunity and having a track record of the developer, the build, the area, the success of surrounding off the plan projects is a good track record to follow.
Definitely, and I think big thing about this one coming up in the first quarter of next year is there's a type of product that will be a part of this development, and I think just obviously being amongst that 7 Rodborough Road and speaking over 12 months of inquiry over there and weekends of people, there is a product in there that I will believe will do supremely well. I think there's a large buyer pool. There is a huge demand for these warehouse type areas amongst the demographic of the northern beaches. So, guys, if you're wanting to find out a little bit more, reach out. And like we say here, early bird, with the word travels fast, money travels faster. And I think there's only a select amount of this type of product, and I think it will do extremely well. And you'll start to see the returns in this product as we've seen at 7 Rodborough Road. So if you're interested, feel free to give me a call on 0477 004483, and I'm happy to run you through what's potentially coming up.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Everyone have a great day. Enjoy the rain.
Thanks, that's it.
Love ya. See ya.
See
Bye.
you guys.